that?
Oh, you get
Numbers.
numbers countdown and then go.
It did?
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I never seen that before.
It must be new. What is this? Uh,
There we
okay,
are.
I got it. Yeah. Yeah, so we're live. Let's see what's happening. Yeah, we're coming on board. Yeah, I just spent 2 hours with Victoria Lillenquist.
Yes, yes.
She was on. It was very good. We've done quite a few shows, but that was the best show we've ever done.
Well, it gets better each time, you know that.
It really does. I really have come to accept that. Really does. We had. Did you see this? You probably didn't see it because you're like me. You don't get a chance to do anything. But there was a girl at the Soulogy Fest. Her name was Amanda Smith. She was the one that would go get the food every day.
Mm.
You remember her?
Yeah, I remember her. Yeah.
Okay, so she came on about a week and a half ago, and we meet in the studio, and her voice was all messed up, like it sounded like Alvin the Chipmunks, but it was sped up really. And I said, "What's wrong with your voice?" And she just started talking, and then I realized, and this was like in a matter of like 10 seconds, and I realized it was coming through in her when her lips were moving and when they weren't moving. So I heard, I was about to tell her, go out and come back in. And I said, no, we're just supposed to go live because I heard go live. So we went live. She ended up going out and coming back in, but it took us 29 minutes to get on the show. Wow. 29 minutes of the weirdest things I've ever seen happen. I knew it was energy. And then she came on finally. And so I was just told, go with it, right? So we did about 30 minutes of it, and it just won't stop. People just keep going back to it. I can't figure out how are people finding it because she's not like, real well known. I mean, it was the first time she'd ever been on the show. Mm-hmm. But anyway, a lot of stuff like that's been happening. I've had a whole lot of, aberrations that involve the physical that kind of point to the non-physical. Mm-hmm. I've had a lot of that happen. And then I did a show. I was on somebody else's show, and I split during the show like 6 times. I literally split, and I can't really get into the intel about it because I don't want to, paint a picture of, I don't even think hardly anyone would have even seen it, and it's not about that. It was, the whole thing was I was being shown while I'm doing this show from before it started. Like I was about to push the button and I felt it come in, and it was this heavy, it was like the air got heavy.
Right.
It was a heaviness. And I went, what the hell is this? And then I realized right away, it's not me. It's not mine. And then I get into the show, and about 6 times, and it was so intense. This was 2-3 days ago, that I lost my train of thought, which I rarely do. I do it sometimes because I do so many shows, but I lost my train of thought like 6 times because I literally split. My human was over here. My higher self was here, but it wasn't like I was just observing the human. It wasn't like that. Right. I was hearing the higher self of the guest. I was hearing the human self of the guest, and normally I can do that. I can do that no problem. And sometimes I wonder, how the hell do I do that? Because somehow or another I'm hearing what they're saying, but I'm also listening to hear. But this was different. This was a total split. Now I'm talking as a human, like to answer a question, and I could not. Well, I guess the word would be I could not relate. Mm-hmm. I could not. It was an energetic thing. I think you know where I'm going with it. Yeah. But it was basically I was observing, but what I was being shown. God, I really don't want to bring this up, but what I was being shown was that I can play anywhere I want to play, but it's kind of hard to go play certain places now. It takes a lot of effort, but I can do it. but it's not going to be the same thing. So
Right.
that was a, but they've all, you know, I mean, ever since Soulogy Fest, it's just been like, holy crap, you know, like holy fucking crap. I mean, like Franco, I didn't go to sleep last night. It's 4 o'clock in the afternoon. The last, and I haven't slept in 2.5 weeks. I haven't gone to bed before about 6 o'clock, 5 o'clock. And I'd say in the last 14 nights, 2 nights I haven't slept all night. And when I go to sleep, it's probably average about 6 a.m. That's after staring at the wall for like an hour and hour and a half. And I'll sleep an hour and a half to 2 hours. I wake up and I'm like, oh man, I feel great. I look at the clock and it's an hour and a half, 2 hours. I'm like, what the hell? So I go back to sleep, which takes another hour staring at the wall. Another hour and a half later, I'm back up again and I'm going, what in the hell? So that happens most of the last 14 nights. I'd say 10. 2 nights I haven't slept, you know, and then the other time, a couple of times I slept. Actually, just one night I slept hard. I have not had but one night in the last 2 weeks where I've slept more than 4 hours straight. So what the hell is that all about?
Well, I mean, the stimulation that we're experiencing right now, it's actually, I don't know if Victoria mentioned anything. I didn't get a chance to listen to her. But I mean, she's very sensitive and can feel energies from, you know, Gaia, if there's a volcano going on or something going on,
Yeah,
whatever it is, right? But right now, there is kind of an earthquake going on throughout the whole planet, but it's really Gaia energetically. So it is creating a lot of stimulation for people. But some people are going to find that they need a lot more rest because they're somewhat ungrounded or whatever is going on, and there's so many changes that have to go on. Other people are going to feel so stimulated that they find it very difficult to sleep, and it depends on exactly what they need to go. So right now, like the whole energy of the month is basically creating what we can call balance, harmonization. And the balancing is our energy balance and our balance within ourselves, because we're made up of a lot of different energy fields and a lot of different levels of consciousness. And also there's many parts of us that are all participating with everything that's playing out. So there's a harmonization and balancing. So a lot of us are so far out that it has to be grounded back into the body to create that merge. Others are so grounded in the body, are feeling disconnected to that degree. So there's a balancing in that regards. But the other part of the balancing is not only the energies that are coming to the planet, it's balancing with the energy of the planet. And right now, Gaia is gifting us in a very powerful way to create this really powerful stimulation, earthquake type of thing. And I'm not saying earthquake in a sense, because it can feel that way, can feel very unstable. Some people are going to feel dizzy. Other people are going to feel out of balance in one way or another, but it's a balancing. And also the other balancing part of the balancing is the masculine and feminine, because we're all masculine and feminine energetics. And now we have the masculine and feminine that is the physical representation. We have the masculine and feminine that is an energetic representation. And for most people at this time are still out of balance with that. It's not balanced. So that's coming into play right now to harmonize it so that both parts are equally representative of our experience. And it doesn't matter if you're in a male physicality or a female physicality, because a lot of people have this idea that if you're male, you got to be more masculine and less feminine. But those are just energies. We're not even talking about archetypes and ideas of what they mean, because male or female can mean anything depending on where on the planet you are, what culture you're from, what upbringing you have, or whatever it is. But it has nothing to do with that at all. Basically, it has to do with the energies coming in, because one energy is more dominant than the other, but the other one is very nurturing and loving and so forth. And really, for us to be holistic and in our true form, we need the balance for both. Now, that's all taking place at this time to kind of bring everything into alignment with ourselves. While this is happening, the other thing we're going to find is that a lot of the older energies and also the older clusters that we play with could be other people, could be some things that you used to feel more comfortable doing or not doing at this point in time. You're going to find that that's going to become much more apparent, where you're not going to feel drawn to it because it does not harmonize with what you're going through, okay, with yourself. And this is the thing. Part of the splitting too is we're feeling we have the old world, and then we have the new world, which we are projecting. And this new world is coming more vivid. It's coming more alive. And that's going to feel like when you're looking at the old world, since we're still navigating through it, it will feel very unreal. It will feel like it's just there, but you're not really seeing it in the same way, where it doesn't matter what's happening. It's not going to impact you the same way. You're not going to be personalized by it. You're not going to be connected to the degree where you're going to see it, and if it has dominance or power over you, or actually shape you in one way or another. So you're going to feel that the world around you is different because you're not associating it to the same degree, but you're already projecting this kind of a new world, which the beauty of our world is that this world is actually connecting with others. And this is why we're finding that we're feeling connection points with other aspects of ourselves, meaning all parts of us localized and all over the world, because we're reinforcing that or unpacking that new world through us.
Now, are you talking about like me being connecting to other aspects of myself? Well, they're both the same, but I mean, in what you might think, or in a way where it's other mirrors of me. Does that make sense?
Well, first of all, everybody is you.
Well, yeah. I'm just saying, is it like
aspect of you?
Yeah.
But you're going to.
I guess really, when you get right down to it, with what we're creating, they are one and the same thing. Like I had a friend, a lady, and you know her. She was in at the festival, and she wrote me. So that morning, that night, I consciously, in awake state, saw my masculine, I guess. Well, it was it was two. It was the masculine and it was the feminine.
Mm-hmm.
They were both me.
Right.
Right. And they were standing there. I wake up in the morning and she sends me a message. So I got to tell you something. You came to see me last night, but there was two of you. One was a man and one was a woman. I said, that sounds like an interesting night. Kidding. But yeah, so are you talking about like that? Or are you talking about like me running into Anubis, or running into my Syrian aspect, or both, I guess?
Well, the thing is, the connection we're making is with people of a similar vibration and frequency on the planet that are upgrading themselves and moving forward. So we're connecting with all these people all over the place, creating satellite points of sorts. So as we are creating that connecting, we're actually reinforcing and developing this new world, or basically strengthening the projection. That strengthening of the projection is another level of communication to the matrix, the organic matrix, which is reflecting. So you're going to see that the matrix will weaken one transmission and reinforce the other, which you're going to be able to see more powerfully.
Yeah,
now,
that makes sense.
You were seeing the masculine and the feminine because you're both. You're both. When it comes to the physicality is masculine, feminine in its energy field and its creation, all its codes. It just expresses one more than the other only so that it can actually represent a physical form. When it comes to a human entity, it has both. It never had just one. but it is working in expressing the masculine one, but it doesn't any longer want to expand only the masculine. It wants to have the feminine also too. That way it gives us a deeper intimate connection to male and female, but at the same time it gives us a deeper understanding so that we have another level of communication. See, the thing is, this whole thing, I remember, I can't remember who it was, but men are from Mars and women.
John Gray.
John Gray, thank you. Yeah. So in that regard, so now it's no longer keeping that separation. It's about having all of that come together. So there's a deep understanding of each other's journey to enhance each other's journey. So This is why you're seeing that marriage, and then all the energies in its purest form, the feminine and the masculine, are becoming united also within ourselves, creating that completion. You'll still express the masculine, but you're not going to play the old archetype.
No. Yeah, I'm seeing this. Obviously, I'm seeing this with people close to me, including Morgan, including friends, and I'm watching this happen, what you're talking about. As an example. So, and you know this person. So this person is a female with a distorted, with a admittedly, we've all learned about ourselves, a distorted masculine alpha frequency, which is common, in this contemporary world where women have had to be, whatever. And so she's become aware of that in the last year, and she's conscious enough that when she's enters situations that are presenting the opportunity for a new choice, she's not going into that alpha frequency, yet she doesn't know exactly what to do because she's never cultivated the other one. You know what I mean? But to me, that really is indicative of a lot of the information I've received from our brothers and sisters has been, I'm on it. I don't have it quite figured out, but I'm not doing what I used to do, which has got to be a good thing for probably 99.99% of us.
And that interest of what you just said in regards to, first of all, the recognition of the imbalance in that and going one the other. That's part of what we're doing right now, is so that there's support for us to bring all of it in, so that we, as much as we may not have used one side of it and only use the masculine, even though you're in a feminine body, use more the masculine energy and the masculine older, so that right now it's helping us to balance and merge all of that so that we can use it and have a deeper understanding of both and be able to swing from one to the other without having, and when I say swing, meaning using bits and pieces of it, so that we can have a more balanced experience within ourselves. So when the need arises where we need to focus on one, then we can use more of that to do something. And then when the requirement is for the other, we can use the other part of it, meaning the feminine versus the masculine. But in everyday life of the new display, it uses both. All of it all the time. And the thing is, it's being refined too. That's the great part of it.
Yeah. I mean, I sense this with people. I see it. And it's not, this is interesting too, because it's like every day, whether I say it, which I usually don't, not anymore anyway, but every day I get up and I see I'm okay. I'm okay. I've cleared that, you know what I mean? I still see that playing out, but it's not holding water anymore. Mm-hmm. I see more people coming on it, or, my interactions, or even when they're posts, and they're very not human. They're very human, but it's not like the old human. It's this new, what the hell's going on? I'm past the point of vulnerability. I'm actually, these are my words, stepping into transparency. And I don't really have a choice, because it's almost like this effortless thing that's just that just is.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, I'm seeing that happen, which is another good sign. Yeah.
Yeah, all of it is assisting us in a way to bring forth our natural true state. So with all of that, you know, the transparency, it's not any longer of having an embarrassment or something of that nature of a way of life, an experience. Because the other thing too, we have to understand some of the things that we're also processing through us, we've agreed to take on from the collective. And because we've already are in the works of doing certain other facets of transformation, uh, you take it on. And a lot of us have taken on things that normally you've never really taken on. So you say, okay, maybe I've had this experience before and I cleared it, but now I'm noticing it's coming from a different form. Is it really all yours? Yes and no. It's not yours because of your own creation, but you've taken it on as yours temporarily so that you can actually rewrite it and redesign it.
When you say temporarily, do you mean for this lifetime or a part of this lifetime?
No, just for could be weeks, months, days.
Because now is this connected? Because I noticed too with myself and other people that I've talked to,
Mm-hmm.
you know, people always talk about, oh, this is collective. Well, and we know it's both, but and I know I've done this in the last 2-3 weeks. I've gone, I know this isn't mine, but I'm taking it on, and I know there's, you know what I mean. In other words, I'm not throwing the baby out with the bathwater and go, oh my God, this is me. Well, I got to go search for this and find that. But it feels collective. It's like I know it's collective, and I've heard other people saying this over the last month.
Yeah, and the thing is, we're not a victim to it in a sense where, you know, a lot of people think, okay, I'm getting all this stuff dumped on me and whatever else. It doesn't work that way. From a higher perspective, we have to agree to take on certain pieces of it. Sometimes we get really excited and we say, okay, give me a big load. You know, I want to really work at it. But the human ego, which is not the real human, by the way, the ego is a falsified human expression and experience. And we've been living not the true human. So when people say, it's my human side, it's never been the true human side, which is great. I mean, we wanted to have that experience. It was not our true human design. But so what we're doing is the not real human side of it is going to say, oh man, this is bad, whatever it is, and what's going on, and may not be so happy about the whole experience, or just ham it up because in one way or another it gives it some purpose to play with it. But from a higher perspective, you're saying, okay, I'll take it on and I'll take a bigger chunk because like I'm done that. Not only am I enhancing the collective, but I'm also creating an environment for myself to become even stronger to be able to take a larger leap forward to do something even more profound. And a lot of us don't realize how much we take on, and we always have the freedom to let it go. But a lot of times we say, well, we can't let it go because look, it's overwhelming me. No, that's just the operating system that is creating a illusionary overload. Okay. So the whole thing about anxiety, the feeling of overwhelmed and so forth, it's the ego's operating system that's saying, okay, we got to shut down. We got to do this because I can't process all of this. But really what's going on is that it's overloading it and it's short circuiting it. And he says, no, I don't want, if I short circuit completely, then I'm not functional anymore and I can't control you anymore. And I can't continue to support this sort of illusionary human. So when we understand the true human is not what we've been representing and living. And that's what we're starting to remember, and we're starting to realize it. And this is why we're changing. We're not changing into a multidimensional being. We're introducing that, absolutely. But that introduction is actually bringing forth the true human, the true human design. Many of us, because we've never really got to experience it that much, it seems foreign, and it seems like, oh, this is alien of sorts, because I don't recognize it. But in fact, it is human, because a human is multidimensional. Human is many facets of what people call alien expressions in one package. And so the true human is very adaptive, very good, very connected, very progressive, and it communicates with everything, including Gaia, and has a really an intimate relationship with that, and relationship with others, being other so-called humans. And that's what we're relearning. And this is what part of what Gaia is doing with the balancing, because with the balancing, the out of balance is the artificial human, the artificial masculine, the artificial feminine. So,
and even I think at some point, God, everything changes so fast. I mean, like what applied doesn't apply there, but like even an over identification with the gender.
yes.
I mean, it really, it's next on the list, right? I mean, and again, I love what you said too, because we think, and I've never really thought about this. I mean, I've said this, but I've not really actually said it the way you did or understood it. But that's, yeah, we're multidimensional, but this isn't about us being this multidimensional, universal neon sign walking on the earth in a hugely altered state from where we're at. It's actually what you're talking about. It's actually the divine human, right? I mean, we're actually that's actually the focal point.
Mm-hmm.
And then so that's happening now. I mean, it's actually happening, like big time. Franco does look 10 years younger since he went to the Soulogy Fest. We have an anti-youth or anti-aging serum. He was our guinea pig, so everybody wants it. Send me. I'm kidding.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you about. I wanted to ask you about that. Yeah, I and you kind of just segued into it. But if you had something to say, go ahead and finish, and we'll come back to it.
Yeah. So the thing is, what I was saying about the human part, we're basically we're actually for the first time getting more and more access, I guess if you want to call it, to our true nature, our true human expression and experience. A lot of the body's representation and so forth have been, because in our true nature, like, okay, since that whole thing about looking younger and all that stuff, our true human does not really age, does not deteriorate, doesn't have to play with ailments or anything of that nature. Our true human has no issues about, and like you said before, the emphasis on the masculine and feminine is artificial.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it's not our true nature, because our true nature does not put any emphasis on it. It may be in a male body and maybe in a female body. It may represent it slightly different, and it may take on certain roles, but it is not identified by it to the sense, this is who I am.
Yeah.
And discounts it. That because before it was, you're male, you take on this masculine energy. But this is the thing, Todd. The masculine and the feminine we've been living for the last 10,000 years has never been the real masculine and feminine.
I agree. Yeah.
It was a modified version of it that created not only separation, but operated in very low frequencies and created a non-acceptance of the other side.
Yeah.
So, when people are talking about, and you guys talked about it too with Morgan and others that have come on the show and so forth, and yourself, these energies that are coming in, these are pure codes. These are pure feminine and masculine codes to reactivate, retune our true. And then it's to create that beautiful blend. So whenever you're interacting, it's not anymore of seeing a difference between the masculine and feminine. It's a celebration that we're all in different packages, but at the same time understanding each other and having such a connection where not one has to complete the other. One just expresses one way, the other, which enhance all of it anyways. And it's not a requirement for it to play out there. And so that's what's really happening right now. And Gaia, the planet itself, is aiding us, and it's going to be aiding us for very powerfully this month and pretty well most of next month to kind of create that and to stimulate too, because we're also going through more of the body restructuring. And this is something I'll share.
Yeah, you're hitting on a bunch of stuff. Hang on. I don't want to forget. Okay. Let me just write. Okay, so I just want to write this and then that. And then, okay, I forgot the third one. Keep going.
Yeah. Yes. So with the other thing is with Gaia, she's when we say she, it's all the same energies, but at the same time we recognize it that way because of the birthing and so forth of holding a space, and that's how we've decided to relate to it. The one thing about okay, I'll share something. I had a little conversation with Gaia. Okay.
When was this?
Just recently, actually. Okay.
Yes.
So I think we should boot everybody off the call because this is between you and I, because they can't know about what Gaia said. What do you think? Or should we just let them know too?
Well, I think we should let them know because I really think that God, we're all over the place. I know because I haven't slept, but there's things that I've been sharing, not too much, but because I don't know what we said privately or what you said privately and what we talked about like this. And so I don't mention the vast majority, and I haven't had, these have been like close-knit conversations, maybe five different conversations, but no, I'm very sensitive to not saying anything if I don't know for sure. But if you're asking me my opinion, I think we should rip the Band-Aid off, and I would like to talk about everything that we've ever talked about and the things you still haven't told me.
No problem. I was just being cheeky, like somebody said.
Oh, you were being cheeky.
I was being playful.
Okay.
So basically, at this point in time, Gaia is helping us out. One thing it made very clear in one of the connections I just had, which was earlier this week, it said very clearly, it says, listen, we're going to rock this thing and we're going to move forward. And whatever's necessary, I will bring forth. And just to share with people, not to be so concerned about saving the planet, saving me. Okay. She doesn't
need any help to be saved.
No, actually, she was very funny about this because what she said was, hey, if I have to adjust and kick your ass in a way, I will shake anything and do anything, because realistically, we're going to progress no matter where you're at and no matter what you want to do.
Yeah.
So I can reverse any part of it. And if I have to take some of you guys out, not in repercussion, but that you want some assistance to leave, I'll take care of it. No problem. Okay.
Yes.
So don't get hung up on it. And there was something that happened a little while ago. I think we had a bunch of volcanoes out that erupted. I don't know. It could be a month or so ago. I don't recall. It brought it up, and it was laughing because I asked it. I said, "Well, what's the deal with all these volcanoes erupting around the world?" Right? It could have been 6 weeks, could have been 2 months. I don't know. I lose track of time like you do. I can't keep track of it. So I said, "Well, what's the deal? What's going on here? Are you like kind of trying to wake up some people, or what's going on?" And it said, you guys like to play smart ass all the time in a way. And I mean, it uses slightly different words. These are the words I like to use. You want to play a little smart ass.
I
And
know. I'm guilty. I'm
everybody,
guilty.
yeah, everybody's concerned about, climate change and all of this stuff, and
Yeah.
whatever else. And it says, listen, whenever I know I monitor the planet and the nutrients are dropping and the CO is dropping, because the CO is what feeds my sentient beings we call the plants, okay, because it needs CO to neutralize and provide the nutrients to the plants so that the plant can produce oxygen. Okay, it says whenever the plants are telling me it's a little short of that CO, and whenever the nutrient level of the soil starts to drop, I just blow a few volcanoes up, and what do? I
Yeah.
refeed and I re-nourish the surface. All of the beautiful elements from inside I bring to the surface. And if I have to get your attention, I'll shake the ground here and there. I will do whatever is necessary. So don't feel that, we can get caught up in the idea that we need to, play a particular role. Yes.
So she essentially she's no different than you are to me. Stay with me. I can't save you. I can't save her. Right.
Right.
Now she may have more influence on, say, me or an individual soul that's basically her child or her extension that I might have on her, but I don't know how that works.
No, I mean, it's still an equal. It's not the superiority, or it's not like,
Yeah.
I can. The thing is, the other thing I made it very clear.
Oh,
Okay.
here's a confirmation. About a month ago, Iceland, Africa, Hawaii, South America, etc. Those are the
Okay,
volcanoes.
perfect. Thank you for that. Susan, right? Susan Davis.
Suzanne, yeah.
Suzanne. Okay, thank you for that, because that's about the time, because I had heard about all this stuff, so I was kind of interested to find out what was going on. That's why I had the conversation. So the whole thing with Gaia, it says, listen, you need my support because I'm working with you. And I'm working with you to support you to have this experience, because we're doing this all together. We're doing it together. However, if you feel that you're out of off track and whatever is going on, and you need some assistance to shake it up, yeah, I can give you a burst of energy. But if you need your ass kicked, I'm going to give you something else, right? But at the same time, with all of this, it says whatever you are creating experientially, even emission, pollution, whatever it is. I'm not even talking about, climate,
Right.
all that stuff. But you're just making it uncomfortable for yourself, because I can change all of that, because this is all energy anyway. So it's basically you trying to figure this out. So we're just working together here to make this come about. So with that level of communication and that sharing, it really gave a very a strong confirmation as that we're Gaia's part of the team, okay?
Yeah.
And the other part of it is even our brother sister souls that we're connected to, like you were saying earlier, our multidimensional aspect of it. Our multidimensional wants to be part of this beautiful dance with us. So we are multidimensional. And what we're doing is bringing all of that in. And as those multidimensional merges and creates an energy, it also uses the environment, meaning what Gaia provides, and also what we've created from a collective perspective to learn from it and to align with it. But it's also working at advancing things in a powerful way. So there's so many factors going on right now that is really creating an environment for us to do something amazing. And that's what we're doing right now.
Yeah. I want to ask you, because I think there's a connection. You said that Gaia could enhance your experience. Well, I guess in every case, that's actually what's happening. But from the human perspective, you could get a boost. You could get your ass kicked. Mm-hmm. Or if I heard you correctly, if you need an escort, we can transition you out of here if you keep bitching. Okay. So the reason I bring that up is because this came into my field in the last week. I heard it a few times. Of course, we've all said it, but I got this real impression collectively that it, from an energetic standpoint, which could be explained like this, there's enough people going, I'm getting a little tired of this. I'm prepared to leave the planet because I'm tired of not being totally free. So on one hand, it looks like there could be, and there probably will be, a mass exodus of a high proportion of people that currently walk the earth and then embody human body. But on the other hand, I could see the expedience of it, the power of the reality, the honest, truth, authentic reality of so many souls here going, you know what? It's been a hell of a run. I know this is real, but I'm a little bit tired because I turn on the TV and we've got a world leader who can't even read off of a note card and who's actually embarrassing. And I'm not even political, you know that, but all the components that come from that, such as the press, don't say a word. So, and I'm not caught up in these issues. What I'm noticing is the distortion's getting so silly. And I think that's part of people going, come on now, you know? So anyway, is the the energetics of enough people going, I'm getting tired of this, working in our favor? Would that be something that's energetically, accelerating timelines?
Well, yes. I mean, the thing is, right now there's many souls that have decided I'm only going to be here for a little while longer. I'm just going to help push things a little bit more, max, makes it more ridiculous, more whatever, to aid the ones that want to stay here, and I can leave. Now, what Gaia has said at this point in time, it says, okay, and if you want to leave from what we can call a natural disaster of some sort, you will be called to go into that area or hang around in that area, and then I'll serve you this way. Or, we can stimulate particular energies that will bring in certain ailments that you have in your body, and it'll help you exit in that way. Or the fact that we can just exit at any point in time with whatever energetics that we have within ourselves to our own disposal. But there are many souls that have said, okay, listen, I'm not interested to stick this out, and I'm going to do whatever I need to do now, and then I'll leave. Now, the only thing is, not all of them will end up being an exit, meaning that they end up dying, is that in one way or another, a lot of them will, but there's others that will say, okay, I'm just going to make the physicality available for another soul to come in. And most of the souls that are coming in now are coming in for a longer term and want to be part of not only the transformation, but the unfoldment and how things are going to go moving forward. So, there's a lot of handing off movement and so forth that is taking place. And a lot of it will happen within the next year and a half, because there's going to be a much more major concentration in the next year and a half, because there's a lot of preparation being done for 2023 to come through, because that's when we want to be done with the inverted stuff. And anybody that was locked in.
Okay. Yeah, because you got a lot there. So one, you mentioned preparation for 2023. Was there the same type of thing? And I know 2023 is 2023 when we're still in 2021, but did something like that just happen as well through like the end of May? Like, there sure seemed like there was much more than normal, if that's even normal, in the ascension. There just seemed like there was a hell of a lot of purging. And it was like a little window of time. It was probably a week after I talked to you last time, like a week to 10 days.
Yeah. So the thing is, this whole heavier purge started in the beginning of 2020. And it just went into the next level in 2021, which is like, that's why I said we're on 2020 on steroids, which is 2021.
Yeah.
but it's just moving forward. So yes, each month it's been elevating further and further and further, because it said, okay, this next 2 years we have a lot of progress to make, and as we get closer to the line, it's going to push it even harder, because it it wants to keep taking huge leaps. So all of us are taking huge leaps in this point, and we're open to have whatever support that we can bring in. Not the disempowerment support, but support to be able for us to, through our own capacities, to create this preparation for within ourselves. Because the intent this is the intent from the collective period, is that by the end of 2022, we want to have all of our inverted 3D, 2D, and reference point of an inverted matrix purged out completely, so that we're not going to do that. Now,
so does that mean that? Well, I mean, I know you. Maybe you could tell for sure. I don't know, but I mean, is your feeling that the egoic implant will be neutralized as well?
Well, when you create such a situation, because when you're looking at the ego, okay, the ego is a software program that is specifically designed and programmed and was only supported by the inverted matrix, inverted 3D, 2D. So if we're going to purge all that out by the end of 2022, going into 2023, then that software is not going to be working anymore.
Yeah, that would make sense. Now
you have to understand too, because that ego has created many versions of you. Okay, we have many versions of ourselves.
Right.
Now those are purged, so that you only are your pure state, where you're not creating. So just so as a reference, I'm sorry to interrupt there, but before I lose the thought, the versions that we've created is different stages in our lives. We created versions of ourselves of how to express, which are ego versions. But then we've created versions with family, with partners, with siblings, with work and whatever else. And all these versions are all reflection of this inverted world, inverted 3D and so forth, 2D. So those will go too. And also the memory and the stories, the labels and identifications that we've adopted and utilized up to this point in time also needs to go. So basically the whole purpose is, by the time we're done 2022, all these versions are gone, all reference of all these story makers and everything else that we had before, which we call the ego, to be purged out and so forth. So that's where the intent is. So, go ahead.
Yes. So in essence, I mean, God, it's so hard to try to explain this stuff, right? But so in essence, at the end of 2022, we would be speaking from one voice. Like we would have collapsed all the other voices or faces or whatever you called it, and we would have one voice. We would be the same with everybody. We wouldn't have, Franco, I act this way, and Kimberly, I act that way, and Morgan, I act this way, and right. I mean,
you wouldn't even have that as a reference point and say, okay, I got to go do a show, and now I got to bring in show version Todd, and then when I'm with Morgan or when I'm with,
you're just the same all the time, right?
Yeah. So that version of you, and when that happens, okay, it becomes much more powerful, because you're not fragmenting yourself.
Right.
You're not breaking up you're not categorizing not only your energies, but your how can I say, personas, let's call it that. Okay. And then there's no longer where, I play this role here and I play that role there. So you're going to go visit your family and you're going to play their role. You're going to be genuine all the way through by that one part. Now, the beauty of it, when that part continues to grow and become more multidimensional.
Right.
No longer.
It's already happening. I can feel it.
Yes. It's been happening for a while.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just saying it's starting to become more palpable,
Yes.
and you're starting to have like that show I was telling you about with Amanda Smith. So I followed the guidance. I went into the show, and I didn't know what to do. I mean, so I said to them, okay, this is what I'm getting, because people magnetized to it. And as the show went on, it went from should have been, because she was not very well known, right? And I've done enough to know it would have been 30 to 50 people on the low end, and it ended up being 150 people. And not only that, but the replays. Now, what I was saying, the reason I'm referring to it is because I was being told this is a physicalization of what's happening in the energetic field. You guys are understanding her, so where I'm going with that. So when you're saying this, now I can see the congruence in the I don't want to say, I guess, timeline of the divide, right? Like I can see this divide occurring. What I described to you at the beginning of the show, that's what that was. That was a situation where I was standing outside of a vibration that I was familiar with and done with. And it was a surprise and a shock. And so then I was given a lot of information, but the bottom line was what I was shown is that it was like oil and water. And they're not going to mix. And the only way that it could mix would be from the person that was standing in my shoes, because it wouldn't come from the old vibration. It would only come from the new vibration, because the old vibration has to be, has to be presented with the new code before it can do it, right? But anyway, so I can see that almost to the effect where I'd want to say, then it sounds to me like, or it's really more of a question, but it sounds to me like the possibilities out there that it can split, and there can be two Earths, however that looks, that at the end of that period there probably would be one, unless would the 3D organic and the 5D organic be separate? Wouldn't they be the same place?
Well, the organic 3D and organic 5D are two separate platforms.
Okay.
And they will remain separate for a period of time until I think it's 2035. And then, yes, I was told that 2035, it is basically to be completed. So that doesn't mean that somebody that chooses to play in organic 3D is stuck there until 2035. They can cross over any point in time. Right now, all three are open. So you have organic 5D, organic 3D, and the inverted world, which is the inverted 3D, 2D type. Still, right. All you kind of blend. So the point is that by the end of 2022, that the inverted stuff is no longer accessible at this point in time. So you basically only got the organic 3D and organic 5D.
The floor of the realm is raising. Like the lows, lows aren't going to be the old lows. So I guess in essence, I see that now.
And that's what we've been doing, is that to aid that the low vibrations have been clipped off, so that even if we had what looks like a catastrophe, for example, or some really scary scenario coming along, we would not, as a collective, be able to go to the same level of low vibration as before. Right. Okay.
So, and this is another reason that there's one way or the other separations occurring. Mm-hmm. Like, even like the experience I was talking about, they just weren't going to work, and it looks like, it doesn't look like anything bad. That's not what I'm saying. Mm-hmm. But I can see where people are working their way through this and basically looking out after themselves versus trying to appease people. That's kind of dying down a little bit. That's like a symptom of it. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Go ahead, keep going.
Yeah. So the whole thing with the what you call the split, you will notice that you have the accessibility. So, for example, you are living in multiple movies of sorts. And depending on your state, how you get activated or anything of that nature, you will bring forth one movie over the other. They're all there. So, for example, if you wake up and you're in a bad mood, for example, I'm just giving you this as an example, then you're going to emphasize that movie that reflects that frequency more. So you are going to meet the versions of people that relate with that frequency. It's not like, okay, I'm laws of attraction. No, you're basically, what you're doing is that movie's already existing. You're now connecting with that movie. So the practice I've shared with a few people, anytime I've talked about it, is that if you have that situation where you wake up and you're now noticing things are kind of following suit into that, what you can say a negative day or a bad day. If you just step back for a couple of minutes and go in and just connect and raise your vibration, and I've shared what that process is several times now, you will notice when you go back out that the movie's already changed. Because they meet the same people, but they're going to talk to you differently. Those situations that were there is very different. What's happening? You just shifted the focus from one movie to the other because they're all playing at the same time, a different frequency with different experiences. So you're just shifting that because you're shifting. So you're just basically adjusting your dial of your channel that you're tuning in by you. And this is the thing. And this is one of the exercises I've done in some of my workshops and retreats some years back, where if somebody was having a particular experience, if they did the process, and I talked about it, is that when they went back out, even meeting the same people that were nasty to them before, 20 minutes ago, 15 minutes ago, even 10 minutes ago, all of a sudden they're, oh, hi, how are you? And they're all nice and go, what just happened? Because what they did is they just, by making an adjustment within yourself, you're now bringing forth. Now, let me give you a little.
So what happens? Well, I guess somebody's energy elevates, and then somebody else who's in the old movie is exposed to them, and then makes a choice, consciously or not, to make a choice to play in the higher field, I guess.
Yeah, the individual that chooses to play in that higher field, because we are playing many roles at once, because you have to understand a lot of people are playing extras roles and so forth. But the thing is, a lot of people are playing multiple roles. And this is the thing about this whole beautiful holographic expression, because we're expressing on many, many ways of ourselves. This is why just a shift in yourself, you can feel different, and you can see everything looks different to you, and your interactions are different because you're just changing that frequency. So what happens is, and this is one of the part I want to say, this is the tricky part. You can have a dream of sorts, or you can have some trigger of sorts within yourself because somebody just pushed your buttons or whatever, or the dream may, created that scenario. But sometimes there is also what we call an offering of negative influences available of sorts, where we may interact with it in a dream state or in some other state of even awakening. So what ends up happening, it shifts you to kind of trigger an old program. So your vibration lowers, and your frequency stays the same, but your vibration goes lower. And then what ends up happening is you now bring that movie that matches that vibration into play more clearly. And then now you're having all of these things that reinforce your current state. So the thing is to realize the moment that you start seeing things going a certain way, well, yeah, you want to notice if there's any programs, but at the same time, you want to go into a point where you adjust yourself by reconnecting, and that way that movie doesn't have to continue playing. You're actually playing another supportive movie by just doing. And what just to remind people, if you want me to share this, I know I've shared it before, so it's not new, but maybe there are people that knew or need the refreshment. So if you're noticing that things are going like what people call it's a bad day or whatever it is, and if you're at work, just go to the bathroom or go somewhere where you can have quiet for a few minutes, or just, isolate yourself to a point where you're putting that aside, and just you close your eyes, put your attention on your breath. And as you're focusing on the breath, be present with the breath and ask your body your soul to fully embody. So soul fully embody, activate the highest home frequency that I can utilize in my physicality right now. I also activate within myself the highest source essence that I am, that I can utilize in this physicality right now. I also activate or put my emphasis on pure love within myself. And then you can also ask your body and even human entity, but ask your body, innate consciousness, to raise the vibration to the highest frequency, so that you are now stepping into this what do you call it? This movie that most suits and supports you at this point in time. By just doing that and asking even your human entity at this point in time, say, hey, bring forth the highest expression. So I want to be the highest version. Just saying those things and closing your eyes and focusing on the breath, you go back out, and I'm telling you, it not only it feels different, you're going to have different interactions. What you see through your eyes, the colors, the emphasis, and so forth will change by just doing that. And that is you turning the dial, and changing and bringing forth, taking this movie, moving it back, and bringing this other movie that's more aligned with you forward.
Yeah.
Now, if a program came up, of course you want to address it, so you can write it down and so forth and address it either then or later. That's just kind of helping you. But the thing is, you don't have to have what people would consider a chain of a bad day. Okay.
Right.
Okay, I got the message, and this helps too. If you're seeing it, it's like, oh, okay, I'd like to see what's really playing out here. And you jot it down and say, okay, I got the message. So now you retune yourself with that process I just shared, and bang, you don't have to play out the whole day, because it's not like before. You can have a bad day, a bad week, a bad month. You don't have to have that. That's not required.
Yeah.
You just need your attention. Okay, great. What is it bringing up? It's bringing up this. Okay, I'll take care of that. Great. Now let's change the channel. Let's go and play in a different state. Yeah. This is the beauty that we're introducing.
There's nowhere to hide.
Well, that too, yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm just saying that there's nowhere to hide. So that means that whatever you need to come up is going to come up. And as a result, because, we might, not follow that guidance once or twice, but it's not, so once we do that, then what you're talking about would be the obvious result. Be the kind of, it's almost like it's flashing in, then more people grab onto it. It gets a little bit bigger. And on that note, I've heard, and it makes sense to me. Like this is just my own thing. I felt like the summer was going to be huge. Mm-hmm. And I said the summer, I'm talking about June, July, August, but really July, August.
Yep.
Like something like fire. It's like fire. That's all anytime how do I explain this? Not that that's not my bailiwick, but I just think fire, So it feels like, and I've heard a couple of people say this, it feels like this next 2 months, July and August, are really, really important in terms, and just tell me what your thoughts are, correct me or whatever. I'm not even saying this is gospel, but really important the next couple of months in terms of what's more than ever, what's going to happen from there. Like you're setting your course, you're building your foundation. And I don't know, that's just something I picked up and observed. What are your thoughts on that?
No, I fully agree with you. And I don't know how many are on the line now, but have been noticing that within themselves, that these are 2 big months, and it's really setting the stage in a very powerful way. I like the expression you said is like fire and so forth. Yeah, it is in a sense, because it burns off all the stuff that we don't, but at the same time, it reignites us to a truer sense. So, the one thing is not to be hard on ourselves and see that this is something we have to endure. No, take the opportunity to utilize what's being provided for us at this time. So if you're going to have a fire and you're doing some house cleaning, and I'm using this metaphorically here, hey, the fire's there. Let's do the house cleaning. Let's use this opportunity. If it needs to create something else where you're going to ignite some other stuff, hey, great, it's here, so let's use it. So that's the thing. And yeah, it may look very interesting too as we go along, but remember, we are in charge of how we experience it. But we have to keep one thing in mind: you can never look at anything as good, bad, right, wrong.
Right.
You got to look at it for what it is. It's playing out a particular scenario, whatever it is, at this point in time, for us in one way or another to fine tune, adjust, illuminate, expand, whatever we need to do with ease and play. And the more we see it with ease and play, it becomes more ease and play. So the point here is because we get caught up in good, bad, right, wrong, polarization, who's this and who's that. Because I also talked about, in one of the episodes that I just did, on the fact of you're either, how did I call it?
That's the one I was just fixing to ask you about. You had you had 3 options.
Yes.
You had 3 options. And so and this is why I brought it up. I didn't get to watch the whole thing, but I watched part of it, and I picked up on the energy of it. And it was similar to what I just asked you about. So the way you laid it out, it was like you can either do A, B, or C.
Right.
And I was like, okay, that's it, because you're going to have to do one of the 3. You're going to have to do something, right? This.
You can't do nothing. That's the thing. It's there.
So it was like the way you described it was, to me, it reminded me of like a deck, like having a hand of cards in a poker game.
Right.
Like I can either fold, I can play, I can pass and not raise the bet. But I like the way you put that. And I can't remember what it was either.
Yeah, it's maintain, fight, or redesign.
Yeah, maintain, fight or redesign, which is pretty much a no-brainer to me.
Yeah, so maintaining is basically us, still playing the old game. So we're supporting the old game. We're supporting all the old versions of ourselves. We're supporting the polarization and everything else that we're playing. So we can continue to maintain that until it gets so uncomfortable. And for a lot of people, it started becoming uncomfortable quite some time ago. And then you also notice that a lot of people at this point in time said, well, no, I still want to maintain that world. So I want the norm to come back and all that stuff. The second phase is you start to realize that we're living in an illusionary world, that, there's certain individuals playing a particular role. And now, of course, you see where the energy is polarity, fight the systems, fight the people. They're the evil ones. They're the corrupt ones. They're this and that. So you're engaged in the same energy, and you're now burning yourself out to fight the system. The other part of it is, the third part is you choose to redesign. So what do you do to redesign? Okay, I see the game as it is. I'm not going to support it. I'm not going to fight it. I'm just going to let it play out. And it's going to burn out anyways, because if I shift in the redesign, my energy is in a different state. Everybody's doing the same thing. So what you do is you start creating another world. So that becomes more and more obsolete, and there's nothing to support it. So people talk about, okay, there's all these cabals, and then there's all this, these evil players, and there's these governments and so forth, right? Those are just presentations. None of it can exist. None of it can live. Nothing has any energy, and it has no impact. It's designed that way. The thing is, we And when I say we, the ones that have chosen, and we have all at some point or another have to a certain degree, and some of us are deep into it, but many of the people that are here are not really, supporting it to the same degree. We get caught into the fight. But the point is, the whole focus is to teach you, to program you that we need to see it this way, and then we support it. But we don't do that, all of it crumbles. The moment we give authority because, oh, I'm authority, and we believe it and we give it power to that, then that's the only reason it exists. So it's like making real smoke and mirrors.
Yeah.
Saying, okay, it's real,
Yeah.
but it's not. We live in a holographic world. Unless we add our projection to it, it doesn't exist, that movie.
Right.
So we
That's
have to
true.
we're the projectors. So we're the only ones that can project it. So we're just convinced how to use the projection, how to use all of whatever we are. But that's the reversal part. So right now, the choice that people have to make, do I maintain the old world and also fight to get it back? Meaning that let's move it on and let's keep that old
Go
world.
back to normal.
Go back to normal.
Let's go back to normal.
Yeah, go back to normal.
Good
or
luck.
we're going to now fight because we just realized that all these bad people out there doing all of this, which is just illusionary.
Yeah.
Or we just say, hey, move
Reprogram.
on, redesign, let's create something.
Yeah, because really, I mean, really, if you generalize it, if you really generalize it, maintaining and fighting are the same damn thing. That was the method of maintaining, was enabling duality. Now you said something. And I was going to say this, and then you took the words out of my mouth. But I think it's important, and I'm not here to divide anyone. But what I am noticing is a couple of pretty strong platforms that have been consistent. I've watched them be deconstructing very rapidly. Now, their information was very good, and it was well intended, and it always was. But the problem is it's disempowering, and it's just not sticking. And I noticed that. Now, then, if I look at the more sensational platforms that would be perpetuating that fight and perpetuating separation, regardless of how what their heart intentions are or what they think they are. Okay, I'm not judging. I'm just saying the road to hell is paved with good intentions, but so is the road to heaven, because we're at a higher place. Now, what I'm trying to say is, and you called this a while back, this stuff's just not sticking anymore. It's just not sticking. There's no adhesion whatsoever. And so this is actually showing up in everything, every conversation, every relationship, every connection, I'm walking around this house, and you have a little inside information when I left that day, right? I mean, you could see where I was going. And it's been such an interesting thing in regard to what people call addictions. I would call it distraction. Mm-hmm. Addiction, because it's much bigger than that word addiction to me. And what I noticed about it, so it doesn't just happen if I have a conversation with somebody or any other situation that comes up throughout the day. What I noticed was that, again, that split, right? But it was more the traditional split where the higher self is looking and saying, hey, hello, I want to talk to you. But what would happen was, let's say that one distraction's gone, right? Mm-hmm. Then I would get up unconsciously. I'd walk around and go, what am I doing? Well, I'm reaching for something else. And it could be a burrito, and it could be a lot of things. It could be my phone and getting distracted with my phone. But what I noticed was how clear it was to me that it was all the same program. And so I went, okay, so I don't have to go fight each one of these things because there was freaking some I don't even know about. What I can do is honor what I'm hearing and apply it. Oh, that's what you do? Yeah, that's what happened 2.5 weeks ago. and I haven't slept since. So I don't know what that's about. But yeah, I get where this is actually becoming physical. It's become, and I keep going back to that show, or even the technical difficulties on other shows. There's a physical presence that's expanding of what has been a non-physical part of our experience.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And the thing is too, with regards to what you were saying, when we are looking at the way things are playing out, for example, the addiction that you were saying, and you can be pulled from one thing to the other. The more easier, clarified way of looking at it, and say, instead of looking at the addiction and judging this addiction and then wanting, sliding into another one, you look at it and you see whatever pattern that you're going in, and then just pay attention to it. It's like, okay, does this really match with me? Is it providing me the experience that I really enjoy, or anything of that nature? When you communicate yourself and you don't bash yourself, you don't judge yourself
That's
for
right.
whatever it is, then there's a different level of communication and a different level of realization. And then those shifting will happen easier, and it doesn't have to be a fight, because a lot of times people get into the fight.
Well, that's the thing. We take a hard stance. You got to be a vegan, or you got to do this, or you can't do that. What I noticed is exactly what you said. There was two things that came out of it. One was I heard it, I felt it, yet I was still given the choice. It's always a choice, and I've learned now, especially now to this day, you make a choice. There is no wrong choice. You just put yourself in a situation where there's another set of choice. There's another choice to be made. That's all. But what I found was that it was, I had already gotten to the point where I wasn't going to judge myself. Like I knew that. So that was already going. But when this started happening a couple of weeks ago, it was more of like me watching somebody else. So the first thing was food. And Morgan will tell you, I like to eat. All right. But I'm not eating. But the habit, because I'm not doing other things, is what I'm figuring. Yeah. That's the way I got it, was I just go look for something else. So I'm going to run up to the store and get a hamburger. I'll drive halfway up and I'll be like, oh, I can't eat a hamburger, or I'll make this gourmet meal on the stove and I can't eat any of it, so the second part of it, which is another thing that you called, I don't know, 2, 3, 6 months ago. And you said, even when you go there, now this doesn't have to be in the example I'm talking about. It could be any type of, let's just say lower vibration or past pattern of behavior or environment that's kind of pulling you in or attempting to pull you in. You can't even go there. I'm not saying that it's 100%, but what I'm saying is I can see already and very rapidly how that's not going to work. You just can't do it. It's like you got a horse and buggy, a car, and some kind of flying machine out in the driveway, and you walk out there one day and the horse and buggy's just gone. You don't even have that option anymore, and then the car's gone. So I see that happening, and that's very encouraging.
Yeah, and you're doing it. You're removing any possibilities or anything that would be easier for you to go back into that old pattern. So you're changing that. And this is the thing, is that if we actually pay attention when things are happening, like you're going to go get a hamburger. I'm just going to use that as the example. And if you actually pay attention, you're going to get the hamburger, you can ask yourself, you're just paying attention, how do I feel about going at the hamburger? Or do I really want it? What's my story? And then all of a sudden it's like, why am I going? You're going to feel very different, and it will shift and say, I'm not going to go. That's it. I'm going to go do something else. Or you'll be gravitated to some other food or something that'll be very supportive. And that's it. It's just a matter of just paying attention to it. Because, you know, a lot of people get caught up in the fact of beating themselves up, then feeling bad. That's the ego at work. It's not
Yeah,
really your
of course
higher
it is.
aspect.
Yeah.
The higher aspect is say, hey, okay, so you had the hamburger. Hey, what is your body telling you? Well, the body's saying,
You know what? If you use that example in what has it been since I've been back, a month? God, I can't even think. It's not even a month, 3.5 weeks.
okay,
So in that time, I probably have, because I've been juicing a lot, which is another thing. Like, I like juicing. I've always loved juice, but it's like I'm like in, I'm almost like in an affair with it now. It's like it's crazy. But when I have allowed myself, and I have thought about it, and I've gone, do I now that I know how this works, do I want to do this? Most of the time, it's no, because I realize that the only thing that it's satisfying is this basically reaction, to what my body. But when I have done this I'd say in 3.5 weeks, it's probably been 3 times, 4 times. I'll give you an example. Morgan told me she ordered a pizza. Well, pizza is my biggest, weakness, right? And I hadn't had one in years. I mean, not in years, but in quite some time. So I called Pizza Hut. I mean, I got online, and they had a special, and the best special was 2 medium pizzas, total of 16 pieces. So I thought, well, hell, I'll just eat some, and I'll put some in the freezer, and so I ate 4 slices, and then an hour later, I got up and ate 4 more. Now they were the thin ones. I ordered the thin one. And then the next day, I ate 8 pieces in the first 5 hours I was awake. Now I don't think I ate anything the rest of the day, but I didn't feel bad. Not mentally. There was no mental judgment. My body felt fine, and I didn't have any kind of uncomfortable. And that's how the other 2 occasions went too. And here's the other thing. That's the only time, no matter what I was eating, I could eat everything.
Mhm.
I could. Other times, no matter what it is, I can't eat the whole thing. And I used to eat, 3 times what I'm talking about. So I don't know.
Well, it also depends on your frequency, your state, and so forth. So sometimes, yeah, you can have a meal that, normally you may have a problem digesting, and your body's saying, fine. I like that energy that food carries, or whatever the nutrients are involved in there. We're okay for it, but it's not going to be our steady diet, and we're not going to be all stuck in it.
Right.
Now, the one thing I wanted to share is another key for everybody. Keep in mind that a lot of the addictions is the ego wanting you to go into that addiction. So it has power over you, because then it'll make you feel bad. It will judge you. It will, create certain states of lowering your vibration. And I'm not saying, for example, if you're going to go and drink, it's going to convince you to drink, or convince to have what you can call food that your body's not going to want. After you've had it, you're not going to feel good, and it's going to go, see, this and that, blah, 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 and create keeping you in a disempowered state, but also keeping you in a state of that lower vibration. So, you could always ask yourself, when you're drawn to that too, it's like, okay, who am I going to entertain here? Am I entertaining my body because my body really wants this? Because if you ask your body and it says, yeah, we can use this, that's great, we're good. But a lot of times it's the ego, oh, well, you deserve it. You haven't had a pizza in a long time. You haven't had the treat. You didn't do this or that. And then when you have it, then of course it's going to ham it up to the point it's going to make you feel bad and so forth. So also pay attention to that. That's usually an indication of what's playing with what, and it's really just so that you become, oh, okay, I see where that's coming from, and now I'm not going to, give power to that side of it, and I'm going to direct myself in a different way. And it's just little cues that we see to
Yeah.
say, okay, because if it makes you feel bad, I'm not even talking about, let's take the example of the pizza. You have the pizza and your body's saying, this, we didn't really want this, maybe a half a slice, just to taste it, whatever it is, but we didn't need to have 3 pizzas out of it, or 2 4 or 5 pieces or whatever you want to call it. But if that's okay with it, and then the ego is going, see, you ate the pizza and this and that, you know where that's coming from. It's just the ego wanting you to feel bad for yourself. So when you recognize that, say, yeah, thank you for the share, but see you later.
The ego seems to be fading, though. I mean, I can't speak to it. It doesn't have. I mean, like I'm aware of it, but it just hasn't. It hasn't. Like I didn't hear a lot of that stuff. I might have had a couple of weak moments since I left Sedona. You know, after I got over the fatigue itself, and they would have been very momentary. You know, where I was like, you know, damning myself or something. But very, very. And even before that, it wasn't a thing. I want to get back to what we were talking about, but we have a sister in the community who's been a big supporter of us for a long time. And she had written me the other day to ask me to ask you a question. Okay. And so we can go back to what we're talking about, but she had saw the show that we did, the second show we did, which you mislabeled, by the way. You mislabeled on YouTube. It was the one on the couch. That's what it was. And you had mentioned you were talking about your story of I believe you might have talked about out of body, but you did refer to Yeshua as being one of your guides.
Right.
And so she wanted to know if we all know the story or the stories. Has Yeshua ever divulged to you what he was really doing here, and what the purpose of his incarnation was here?
Yeah, he did a long time ago.
Could you expand on it a little bit?
Oh, now you want me to tell you what it is?
Yeah, well, she asked, and
I'm just teasing. I
thought you were playing it close to your chest again.
No.
See, I can't even figure you out anymore. You've changed so much.
Well, you know, I love you so much, brother. I love to play with you. Now that I met you in person, now I can play even more. But no, so he had made it very clear at the time that he came here to reactivate the code and operating system of love. So that was his activation, was reactivating love on the planet, because when that inverted matrix came into play and the inverted world was projected, then at that point in time, that we lost all connection to what we call love. And it's not the love that a lot of people have adopted over the years. It's a pure love, a love where it sees everything as a beautiful creation, a love of appreciation for every existence and every expression and every opportunity to. So that was his thing. He came to encode it. So he came to have a human experience. And while he was having the human experience, he was uploading in the collective through the human experience love. So that there was no, people would have the option to not to function in judgment, good, bad, right, wrong, but to actually see the perfection and beauty through the eyes of love. He had mentioned that to me at the time because that's what he had said, that's what he came to do. And that was a full incarnation. That was the one and only full incarnation that he did, because he did come back 32 other times, but they were a drop-in after that. But the full incarnation was to come through a whole body, through humans, and to be able to activate what we call pure love. Now, did we use it? We used a very small amount of it. We always had the option, but it was re-encoded because it got turned off completely. Pure love was turned off completely, even though we are the makeup of love, but we couldn't access it. So that was his thing. Then he said to me, the reason that you came back, yes, you came on the planet, was to activate oneness. So he was part one, activating love. I was part two, activating oneness. Seeing that we're all one, seeing the
Right.
fact that we're all creating, co-creating, and so forth, this beautiful dance. No one's better. No one's at any other levels. We just have different access points. We have different expressions, but at the same time, we're all that oneness. So that was the thing that he came to do. This is what I'm here to do, but also to activate the organic matrix and deactivate the inverted matrix and to restore that. And when I say that, it's not Franco, it's the
I get that.
multi-dimensional soul. Yes, it came through a physicality.
You're an energy complex.
Yeah, we all are.
Well, I know. I'm just saying that yours is more complex in this realm. I don't know how to say that, but it's.
And I've had discussions with Guy. Sorry, not with Guy. With Yeshua, and saying, "Hey, wait a minute here." I said, "When you came here, it was very different." I said, "Look at the complexity of the situations right now and the depth of what we have here at this point in time."
Mm-hmm.
He says, "Well, you were around as a drop-in at the time. Did you see how things were 2,000 years ago?" Because at that point in time, it's like, I came too early. That's what I was saying to him. I said, listen, this is the 50s and 60s. You know, I was in the 50s when I was questioning him the first time. I said, it's the 50s here. There's no sign of life here of what we call higher consciousness, right? Mm-hmm. And I said, I'm way here too early. And that's when he said, well, you realize I came here 2,000 years ago? Said, how much awareness was then?
Yeah,
you got to
overthrow the rulers, and you got a town square full of arms and legs.
Yes, yes.
It was
at the time I asked him. I said, what was the whole thing about the crucifixion and all that stuff? Well, you could have left at any point. Why did you go through all of that? And he said very clearly. He said, I wanted to show it. It had nothing to do with sins. It had nothing to do with sacrifice or anything of that nature. That was all made up stories, right? The sacrificial lamb, I think that's what referred to at that time, saying, okay, I'm sacrificing myself for the sins of man or whatever it was and all that stuff. He says there's no such thing, and that was not the purpose. His purpose, he said very clearly, he wanted to show that at that point in time, there is not to put value in what we call a human form or what we call a body, because you are this multidimensional and you are infinite, you're immortal. So it was, hey, look, I can leave the body and I can still exist, and I will exist always, and I am part of you always. So that was the first part. And I don't know if I've ever shared with you, but the whole thing about the crucifixion, okay? The reason that they showed that, and he basically had said, the reason the cross is still emphasized is not about his death. It was about what it represents. So as a column of light, a column of consciousness, is a beam from the higher realms to the lower realms. He was showing a solid column of bringing in the higher realms to the lower realms, and the lower realms is basically what we were experiencing on the planet. So when he was put on the cross, the reason that they put that across and he was put out with his arms, I know you can't see it in the picture here, but was to break that column. And that's why religion still emphasizes the cross. Every time you're doing that, you're breaking the direct stream of the higher and the lower.
Wow. That's interesting.
Yeah, he shared that. I didn't know that at the time. And I was a young
interesting person. Did he mention not that I'm just curious. Mary Magdalene.
Yes, it was his wife. Yeah. He got married at 19. They didn't have any kids. I asked him why he didn't have any kids. He said he didn't want to have any kids because he didn't want to leave the lineage behind, because he came here for a very specific job. He did what he needed to do and then left at that point in time. And he just basically and he didn't want to leave a tomb or a body or anything of that nature to emphasize and all of that stuff. So he basically dematerialized that physicality. So he did get married at 19 with Mary Magdalene. He was born in the Middle East. He was born in a well-to-do family of carpenters and had a business at that point in time, which he worked in. So the whole stable thing, born on the 25th, was not true. He was actually born, he said, on February 13th to be at that point in time. And Mary Magdalene carried on to share his message and so forth. And she actually wrote, what do they call it? A gospel. One of the gospels. I think how many?
She's in the Gnostic Gospels.
Yes, because there were 32 gospels written, 32 expressions of what happened to the journey of Christ, or what he called Jesus or Yeshua, and his message. And each one emphasized a certain part of his message. Unfortunately, when the religions came along, they basically took all 32 out and basically took 4, and then they modified the 4 to kind of create a specific narrative or carry a specific narrative.
Yeah, that's crazy.
He did say he dropped in every so often to re-encode the energies. He would be a drop-in, and some of the drop-ins he was here for a period of time. He hasn't dropped in for a while now, but now he's been coming in. What else did he say? Go ahead.
Well, I was going to ask you, so how does this work? I look at these, like I look at him, and I see, because like let's just say, for even with what you tell me, which I have the utmost faith in you. I really don't know. Like if I stand in my own space, I don't know anything. I just know what I've been presented with. But what I can say is that there's a consciousness. It's an energy, but it seems to be a consciousness in and of itself that came down and anchored here and has expanded due to its connection with other brother sister souls. And so you had this as a primary guide. I have had him as a primary guide when I woke up, and I know many other people have. There seems to be, and say it's Yeshua here and Magdalene there and Buddha there and Kuan Yin's there, and is there some type of lineage with these consciousnesses? I mean, because obviously, for Yeshua to come down here and do what he did, he had to be a very high level, mature soul, I would imagine.
Yes, I mean, we're all bringing in our state of expression in any incarnations that we would have on planet Earth or any other planet. He was involved in the retooling, as my soul was too. Of planet Earth.
Now you're talking 15,000 years ago.
Correct.
Okay.
Now he was involved in other playgrounds too.
Yeah. I'm just saying.
Too, right? Like he said, the physicality was just the physicality. He used the physicality as a way to connect with humanity and take on the DNAs and the genetic encodements and so forth, so that he could have more of a connection. But it was basically the soul. Now, the soul that he came in, it had more access to how things actually work and be able to carry that energy within any expressions of any form. So when he came here, he brought that consciousness, that frequency, because his frequency, and when I say he, I mean, I'm just using that, but the frequency of the soul, the frequency of that soul was very well tuned for what we call pure love. And that frequency was reintroduced through the human by embodying a human and expressing that through the human. The human is the channel. The human is the vessel that was required to create an impact. So when people say Christ consciousness is coming back, which it is, that consciousness is love consciousness,
Yeah.
creator consciousness. He made very powerful statements along the way that we're all one, we're all capable, that we're, each of us have the power. He never said, I've come here to save you. He's never said that I've come here to change.
No.
No, I came here to remind you who you are.
And he certainly didn't say came to do it for you.
Right. And whatever I've done, you can do and much more.
Right, right.
Because he only gave us a sample. Because that's all the sample we were ready to experience. So that was the whole thing. Because we already, from the design, that seed was already put in there.
Yeah.
That seed of pure love, pure oneness was already there. It just got turned off 10,000 years ago. And then 2,000 years ago, when he came in, he reactivated that seed. But not everybody could utilize it because we were in the depth of it. But that was still alive. That life form, that frequency was already encoded. And that's coming to the surface now more. So when my soul came in through the physicality, using this physicality as the link, it brought in the seed of oneness, which was already there, and everybody has had it, but it's really just you to reignite it and bring it forth more powerfully. That's all. So the different stages of it coming through at this point in time. So he's made it very clear in form and whatever else that we're all equal, we're all beautiful, powerful source beings having different expressions and experiences and so forth. There's no good, no bad, no right, no wrong, or anything of that nature. It's just roles that have been played and operating programs that were implemented. But all of this coming into the mix of it is basically dissolving and bringing more of that crystallized, that pure form of ourselves through. And that was it.
Have you, I'm just curious, have you ever went to a psychic or a medium who tried to read you, who tried to like read your makeup?
I've had lots of offerings, and some of them I've just allowed them to do so. Yes, they always come back with the fact that, I'm either this extraterrestrial being that's outside of all of this. Many have seen, a lot of the different aspects of myself to say, and when I'm saying the aspects, we're talking about the soul's aspects. And I've been told I'm a guardian, I am a planet, or I'm a reprogrammer, and whatever else. And those are just I'm just saying that as what they refer to, and so forth. Now, others basically go into a state where they don't know what to make of it, type of thing, because they don't recognize that energy. Many times I've said, "Oh, you're Yeshua," and I said, "No, I'm not." But then we're all in the same family group, so yeah, you may be.
That's kind of what I was getting at too, because I had the same thing happen to me. But I also know other people that have a strong connection, even to go so far as to literalize what the message they received. Like he told me, you were this to me, and I knew it wasn't literal, even then, when I first woke up. But so it's, yeah, I mean, that's part of what I was getting at. So there is, and it would only make sense. I mean, I understand that, the universe took a breath and everything was happened all at the same time, but really there is a present moment, and there is not a hierarchy, but there certainly is a sequential aspect. It only makes sense, which is the way I received it 10 years ago. But it seems like that there's just some energetic resemblance, lineage. Some people go one way, some people go the other way. I mean,
yeah, and the thing is too, I mean, he's made it very clear from my conversation with him, because I mean, he used to show up a lot. He used to, present, and we would have chats.
What
Especially
what did he look like? I'm just curious.
this is the beautiful thing. Let me share something interesting. Um, every time he would show up, he would look a little bit different.
Hmm.
And so I asked him one day, this goes back a long time ago, I said, why do you actually look a little bit different each time? You know, sometimes you look more childlike, sometimes you look like you look like, with the long hair and so forth and whatever else. He says, well, I don't have a physicality. He says, I'm an energy and a consciousness. You're the one that's applying the physicality.
So you're seeing what you're seeing.
I'm
basically.
seeing what I feel or I think that I should
Yeah.
see, right?
Yeah.
And when he told me that, and I go, oh, okay, I got that. That makes total sense. He says, I'm just an expression, energetic, and so forth. Now I recognize his energy in print and frequency, and whenever he's in the presence and he shows up, he does communicate through me at times. And some of the stuff I just shared with you throughout this whole thing, it's him talking through me. So he comes in
Far out.
and even my higher aspect of what we call the soul communicates. And this is why I have all these resources and this information. It's not like Franco knows all this stuff. Franco knows quite a bit, but not even close to what I've been sharing or share, because it communicates through me, and I'm just basically as Franco, the one that's actually speaking, putting words to all of this. So yeah, so at times he kicks in, and whenever he has to share something, he does share it, okay, and through me. But in his representation, he would show up, but I have always felt his loving presence. We have a really communicate. He at times he's like a real joker, because he will tease me, or he used to tease me, when I used to make, comments of certain things, and it's like, yeah, why is this happening in this way? Well, this doesn't make any sense. And he would, he would either laugh or just say something different.
That's how I met him. You know that.
Yeah,
I told that
and he would tease me, right? So, and when somebody asked me years ago, and he said, well, how do you see him? I said, sometimes he's a real joker. He's really comical and whatever else. And he would use some of my experiences and kind of throw it at me as going, well, how about when you believe that? Or when you adopted that idea? And I go, yeah. It goes, but why are you hard on yourself, or something like that? Or he would say something and he'll make me laugh, whatever. But, the thing is, he's never been like a driver or anything of that nature. He would just set me straight sometimes. He'd just say, hey, listen, you know this. Why are you putting focus on that? Not so much now, but, especially in my life going along, because he started showing up as I was a little kid. And at that time, I really highly appreciated his presence. And the reason I say that is because really I had never, for many, many decades, anyone to talk to, anyone to even share anything with, because I was here to observe. There was nobody that I could actually share that I would not scare or feel that, because even when I shared it with my mother, for example, bits and pieces of it, and not even that much, she went into that closed, religious idea, and then thinking that there was something wrong.
I'm surprised she didn't get an exorcist for you.
You don't know the story.
Oh, I'm sorry. Well, we definitely have more cookie crumb trails now, because I can tell.
By the way,
What's all right? Oh, I can relate to a lot of what you said, because that consciousness was with me from, like, I mean, as long as I can remember. Like the experiences weren't like, or at least I don't remember them as being as visual as some of the ones have been since this all happened to me. But yeah, that's very interesting. It really is. It's so when do you see in this evolution that we're in? And by the way, Jed, yeah, we had who was on? Victoria Lillenquist was on, Franco, and Mary Rodwell's going to be on in an hour and 10 minutes. But when do you think that the 51% of the energy of our collective consciousness is going to stop being more concerned, and that's understandable, with the story, or I'm sorry, less concerned with the story and more concerned with the real-time information it gives us in the process of integration, expansion, and so on?
Well, that's in the progress right now. If we're talking about when do we reach a tipping point where we're past the 50% or something of that nature. I mean, the whole intent is to shift away from all of our stories, all of our interpretations, all of that, whatever, by the end of 2022, going into 2023. That's the intent, so that the focus is on expanding, growing, and in an enriched human experience, either in the organic 3D or the organic 5D, and letting go of the stories, and what it meant or anything of that nature and so forth. So that's the intent. This is what we're aiming for. This is what we're, and when I say we, meaning all of us collectively, to one degree or another, are aiming for that, so that we actually shift away from the old stories and now create a new life stream based on that. And many of us are already building new life streams in our own life. And we're also, making changes with relationships and where we live, where we put our focus, what we consume, where our attention is going and so forth. Because we're becoming more and more comfortable with ourselves and discovering ourselves. Many of us don't know ourselves. We don't know what we're capable. We don't know who we actually are. We've been living the majority, and this is where it's breaking all down, because a lot of us are shifting out of that very quickly. A lot of us have interpreted that who we are is that name that we have, that gender that we have, our history that we have, and that our stories, and a lot of different stories that we've had. And we never really got to know who we are. Yeah. We wouldn't be asking the question, who are we and why we are here? Yeah, exactly. We know ourselves. Yeah. So if we know ourselves, then that becomes a moot point, and it's like, I know who I am, and I know what I'm here for, and I'm really going to utilize this opportunity here to play powerfully. Yeah. I had a great question. Okay. This is very difficult for me. God, and it was a really good question. I'm going to pull it back in 5 seconds. So I'm going to get it. No. So you were talking about, here we go. God. Well, we're talking about knowing ourselves. We were talking about our stories, our programs. We were talking about Oh, I know what it is. Okay. I know what it is. Okay. So everything's expanding, which means that we're letting go of what's not real. Just to your point about what we think we are, even though we're asking, who am I? That's a great story, by the way. I like that. But so we know that oneness is oneness. We just got to get there, right? So we know that, like love, we're finding out who we are, because we really don't know. No, oneness is, something okay. So in order to keep moving, we're surrendering things and we're letting go of things. Ownership is deep. I mean, the ownership isn't just a mortgage piece of paper and the bank owns. It's energetic. It's very visible. For instance, in let's say old school patriarchal relationships, like my grandfather. Both of them. They didn't cook, they didn't clean. You know how it works. Okay, so ownership is a very powerful thing. I think about it. I've thought about it a lot over 10 years
as I've been, you know, um, brought out on the carpet, so to speak, with my team, and telling me what humility is, and what collaboration is, and what oneness is. So there's no copyright, no trademark. No, this is all Todd's spitting this out, but it's inevitable.
Mhm.
I can see this happening, and where I see it really happening is over the last couple of months, when I was telling you about the construction, and I know there'll be a reconstruction. That's why I use that, of platforms that have been very effective and popular, at least by the human metrics, that are not holding water because they're not in alignment with the expanded frequency. By the same token, a lot of our in these circles, a lot of our new identity, let's put it that way, a lot of our new identity has come from how smart we are, because we're these big illuminated souls that God loves us and favors us and gives us these great gifts, skills, and abilities, and we want to tell people that we own them.
Right.
And it perpetuates that ownership thing. So it's not really about the person. It's not even about who starts what. It's not about that. I'm just getting to the point of, when something like that drops, I think it's going to be obviously a huge effect on the world. Do you see that starting to take a slide? Do you think it's going to take a hit? Do you think that there's going to be more people that are going to give it up for the team and just walk forward with their head high?
Well, absolutely, absolutely, and like you were saying, the whole ownership thing. I mean, ownership is restrictions. You cannot own anything and be free at the same time.
No.
You can have stewardship of something that's going to be supportive, but it's not about controlling anything. See, we want to own every part of it and say, well, I want to own part of the earth. I want to own other people. I want to own this, but that's all restrictive. And you cannot really experience freedom in ownership, because when you set everything free, everything is in motion. Everything is beautifully flowing all over. And the thing is, we were never just, somebody had said this some years ago, but in this, from one of the statements I had made at the time, and I said, the point was, here we are dividing up the planet, saying this is owned by this cluster and these individuals, and more, you got your deeds and whatever else. But who owned it that actually distributed?
Right. That's
and
like
so
that meme. What is it? There's $300 trillion owed by humanity, and then it says, and who do we owe it to?
Exactly. So yeah, the whole thing about ownership control and all that stuff, it is fading for a lot of people, because the fact that they starting to realize that the oneness is starting to grow in them more and more. The sense of freedom is coming forth, and a deeper understanding that we're just here to enjoy every part of it, experience every part of it, share every part of it, and there's nothing to restrict or to control ourselves or anything of that nature. Imagine this: when you're in a relationship with an individual, if you feel that you own that individual, just see how free you feel.
Right.
In the sense of,
you don't. I mean, you wouldn't. I mean, it just doesn't make any sense, because, and a lot of people can identify with the whole empath narcissist thing, right? Relationship wise, in the past, and that narcissist, and I knew a lot of guys like this, for instance, would be like totally controlling over their wife. They would be philandering, and they would think their wife was, because they did. right? So there's this whole, like, so they weren't free. That's the point. They weren't free, even if the woman, let's say, was totally subservient. They still weren't free because they were controlling. Yeah, makes sense.
Well, look at it this way: if you say I own my partner, and my partner's job is to do this, and this, and my job is to do that and that, right? It's not as fulfilling. First of all, you will notice that there's always that doubt, and there's that clash, and so forth that plays out. But imagine there's no ownership. That means
Mm-hmm.
that your partner is free completely
Mm-hmm.
to do whatever. You're free.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's up to each one to say, you know, I'd like to share my life with this person this way because it's coming from me, from my expression
Mm-hmm.
of love, not because of duty, not
Right.
because of applied role or expectations, or because we're married or that they own me
Program.
or anything of that nature. And the
Yeah.
vice versa the same way. Now they're both free to be themselves.
Yeah.
And then you know what brings them together? Now it's just that beautiful love rather than a piece of paper that says you need to be together, or
Yeah.
that somehow there's an understanding that we are owed to each other or so forth. So now you're opening it up. Now, what ends up happening, not only freedom, you get to really experience something very powerful in that relationship that would not be possible if that control structure was in place.
Yeah. I got you. Well, we've gone 2 hours again. We could go longer, but I'm going to have to try to get some.
Well, you need to get nursing because you got to go back on in less than a
Yeah, I'm going back and yeah, we're just going to
yeah.
jump back. I'm looking for your PayPal, but I can't find it. Is Kimberly on?
I don't know. She said she
Yeah,
was going to be on, but
let me see.
I'm not sure if she is or isn't.
She,
But you know,
hang on. Oh, here it is. I got it. Yeah, I just want to.
you don't have to do that. You know, I thank you. I appreciate it. I love you, my brother. But
Just
you know,
yeah, just allow me to. And you know, everybody, I say this every time Franco comes on, but you know, these two are doing incredible work. So please consider, if this resonates with you, supporting Franco and Kimberly, um, yeah, with a contribution. Because I can speak firsthand because we're a lot alike, and there's just, you know, I mean, Soulogy Fest was absolutely incredible, and I came back with what I left with. You know what I mean? Which wasn't a whole lot. So, and I know you, but I feel like this is what we have to do. I've had a lot of reflection on the Soulogy Fest as a opportunity and review it to learn, you know, and that's amazing. But I'm really happy that we were able to spread the abundance out because I feel like that these are the things we got to do now. We got to actually step against the old norms and establish the new norms in the physical embodiment. And so I think that was a great coming together of a non-possessive type of, you know, small collective field. So
yeah,
yeah.
it's
Well,
beautiful.
give Kimberly a big hug for me.
Yeah,
And
she's actually on. She I saw her say, "Yep, I'm on." You know,
oh,
so
okay. Well, I already put it up anyway. Or
yeah,
she
no
wants to put it up
problem.
again. That's cool. What was I
And
going to
you get to play with her next week.
What?
Next Friday, you get to
Oh, that's right.
perform with
I
her.
asked Morgan. She's like, oh, well, you know, every time I've asked her, she said, no, it's not for her. And I said, well, that's the same thing you said till you met me. So the next thing I know, she's on there. Yeah, I'm real excited about that. I'm
Yeah,
really,
yeah. I
of
mean,
course, I really, you know, I mean, well, people know because they see us on and they make comments all the time. I've seen someone here about me and you and our connection, but Kimberly, wow, you know, she's amazing. She's just absolutely amazing. I can't even think about it because it just blows me away. God, I was going to ask you. Oh, I was going to ask you this one. Morgan will get mad at me. So if I were to cross the Canadian border, I suppose I could get a ride from you or somebody. Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah. Okay. So I'll see. It came out good. I'm not gonna get. Yeah, it's not good. I didn't supply any more information than I had to.
No problem. No
All
problem.
right.
Just reach out and we can work out any details.
Yeah, just something I had in my head, you know.
Oh,
So we're going to be back in 55 minutes with Mary Rodwell, who's probably about as deep into this as Franco is. To be honest with you, I don't know if you ever listened to any of her stuff, but she's amazing.
No, I haven't, but I don't know if I'll have time tonight, but I will listen to the replay.
Yeah, there's plenty. I mean, but she's amazing. I mean, she's been doing amazing stuff, and she's an original goddess OG. I mean, she's just absolutely amazing. But anyway, we enjoy having her on about every 6 weeks. So anyway, she'll be on tonight. We haven't talked to her in 2 or 3 months. I'm going to go make some coffee, the blackest coffee I can. And I'll see you later, Franco. I love you. And tell Kimberly, yeah, I'll see you.
Love everybody.